Hey all, and welcome to this video tutorial in which I am going to explain you by doing a practical example how to use properly the Tipster Universe database. So let's start. Okay, well, let's say that we want to find free Tipster with more than 1000 peaks record and above 10% of yield. Let me show you. Okay, here you are these three minimum requirements, and now let's use the Tipster Universe database to find one or more tipsters that matches with these parameters. Okay, so the first thing we said is that we are looking for a tipster free, so that we should select here free with more than 1000 peaks. So we should select here the range above 1000 peaks and with more than 10% of yield. So careful here, because there are two options. There is a first range between 10 and 15%, but there is a second one between 20 and 50. So we should select the two of them in order to show in the database, in the table, both criteria. Okay, so as you see here, now there are only 4 tipsters remaining: Spider 82, Schuster Peaks, Javek, and Speculators. That would be good, because we could analyze each separately and then decide if we are happy or not. But now for this video tutorial, let me just add a new criteria. In this case, I will say that we want a tipster betting on tennis, and now there is Speculators as the unique tipster that matches these 4 criteria. Well, good. Now the next step is to click on the name of the tipster. So we click here, and automatically there is a new tab opened, in which the first thing we see is a radar chart, and this radar chart is giving us interesting information, and also really with an easy visualization too, to see where are the main skills of the tipster, the weaknesses and strengths. So for just as an example, for instance, number of peaks is quite enough, quite good. There is so the sample is really large in this sense, so there is a good sample behind this analysis. The variation in terms of number of peaks per month is more than acceptable. Of course, the cost is very good, because we were looking for a free tipster. The stake use variation is acceptable as well, and this tipster is, so the access to peaks and odds is quite good. So in terms of accessibility, we can follow quite well his tips. Next parameter is the profit stake variability. So it's also really acceptable, and the stability in the profit curve is quite good as well. So yeah, it's an interesting tipster. But now let's take a look more in detail to his main features. So yeah, the name of the tipster is Speculators. The Twitter account is Speculators OLAP. This tipster is verified by Olimpo Apuestas. Is exclusively betting on tennis, and in particular in men, so he knows quite well the tennis market and for men. Okay, the main bookies that this tipster is using so far are Bet365, William Hill, and Big Win. As we saw before in the radar chart, there is a large sample of months in his record, and in concrete is 89, of which the 61% ended in green, so which means that he had more than 60% of the months in positive numbers. Yeah, this is a free tipster with 1,312 picks record. Yeah, note that there is the average of picks per month is about 15. There is no cost associated because it's a free tipster. The yield is close to 13.5%, so quite good in these 1,312 picks. But last year he reached about 25% of yield in the last 12 months. And if we do a zoom into the 6 last months, then yeah, the yield is above 50%. And in the hypothetical case that the tipster would use flat stake, his yield would be about 10 to 11%. In concrete is 10.86%, which is not slightly, so it's significantly lower than this 13.53%, which is an indicator of this tipster is assigning properly the stake units per pick. Okay, next is the profit. So the accumulated profit is 190.95 units in total, with an average odds of 2.4. The stake average is 1.08. Yeah, we can click here to read the interview. And yeah, as long as I have time and the tipster as well, I like to carry on some interviews in order to know more in detail what is the tipster offer in terms of service. But also I ask about the detailed analysis I did of his picks record. And so yeah, this is an interview. I would strongly recommend you to read the interview when there is, to know more in detail what is behind the tipster, and if there are some questions behind, maybe through this interview there are the answers of this to these questions. So the interview, quite important, and I strongly recommend to read it. And the last update of this of his stats was done in January, the 1st of January. And finally we have here a plot. This graph basically represents, in the x-axis there are 10 blocks. Each of them is representing the 10% of the number of peaks, and is a way to easily visualize the evolution by looking at the yield, stake, and odds. So in the in the left inside y-axis you see the yield, and in the right hand side you have the stake and odds. So let's follow one of these lines. For instance, the yield. This is the light blue curve. And interestingly, this tipster was really stable until the 7th period, so which means 70% of the total of his peaks. And it was ranging from 12 to 18 maybe. But then something happened. It was a crash, and his performance decreased in the 8th and 9th periods, both of them. But now he recovered more than well, and in this 10th period his yield is over 50%. Then if we have a look to the odds curve, we see that it's really stable, ranging from 2.2 to about 2.6, with an average of 2.4. So in this sense it's really consistent. But when we look at the stake curve, we see that this is a common practice among tipsters, that basically they start peaking strongly, I'd say. So in this case he was using 2 units per peak in average, but then slightly decrease it until the 3rd period, and after that significantly was a decreasing, and now he's betting or publishing peaks with 0.5 units per peak of stake. Like it's kind of a flat stake now. Okay, and that's basically what we should take into account when we look at this analysis. But last and not least, I would say that it's very important to click on the tipster's name in order to have a better understanding of his profile, because once you have here lots of data that could be also of your interest if there is not explicitly detailed in my database. And that's it. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any doubts or suggestions, comments, you just can write me an email, and I will be really happy to answer to those questions. Okay, goodbye.